Howdy hackers, and welcome to another episode of FairLight TV. This is also one of the episodes that has been in the making for a very long time. It's a discussion over computer graphics with Prowler, Claes Benjaminsson. We met at Mysdata in Karlskrona this past weekend when I'm recording this, and yeah, we had a great time, but bear with me, there is a bit of a technical glitch. The computer was not really up to taking all the efforts that I was requesting from it, running OBS and picking up the data from the camera, delivering extra video to an external screen, and and picking up relevant external microphones and all the other things that I was requesting it to do. So there are technical glitches. Again, bear with me. I hope watching it will still make the content very enjoyable, even regarding those little glitches. So over to Prowler and computer graphics. Computer wanted to update everything, and this is lagging, but I still hope it's okay. So I'm here with Claes Benjaminsson, Prowler. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And yeah, you're also the guy behind 3 magnificent books about computer graphics. Give us some background about that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm myself originated from Amiga demo scene, and I thought it could be a cool idea to gather my favorite artists and especially some excellent pictures. And after that first book, I realized that it could be quite a good idea to create a book series. And I moved on to 8-bit computers like C64, and in the last book I went outside the demo scene to explore what lies in the future of pixel art.
Super nice, and they could be ordered, and I'm sure we can insert some kind of link below. And so my apologies for a few things. First of all, this is at the location, which means that we have sound in the background, and that's just a noisy party place. So see that as a feature rather than a bug. And I think the computer is a bit too slow to do this properly, but we will still try to work it out, and I hope the content will be nice enough to be worth the technical flaws. So let's move over to a few of the things that we should do now. And that is having a look at some 15 examples of your favorite art.
Yeah, exactly. That's I was given the challenge to select a few of my favorite pixel arts and why I like them. And of course, I could never do this kind of selection without almighty Ra. It's a French guy, and just many of you probably know him, but he was one of the most trend-setting graphicians in back in the days on the Amiga. And
so this is Ra, and it's Amiga.
Yes, and this is 32 colors. And same with my selection here, and also same with the selection in the books. That I try to show and display pixel graphics that's kind of do something more or something extra than the usual stuff. And Ra in particular, he's very skilled at this mixing colors in different patterns and doing some really cool textures and differing techniques that really blew my mind away back then, and I still look at them for inspiration and guidance and yeah, just to enjoy his excellent handwork.
And we do have an episode on logos, and this would probably qualify also in that. And I think Stranger would love this one because he likes this bent characters that looks a bit like an art installation.
Yeah. Is it possible here to zoom stuff? Or
Yeah, I think you can press the. Oh, sorry. Now we're cheating. Like 6.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just to kind of zoom in and.
And I think if you move the mouse pointer away, you could drag it around if you want to have a look at
true. Yeah, but
special parts of the screen.
Yeah. Anyways, we have a few pictures to go through, but yeah, I just want to. It's a selection of some of the most noteworthy.
Okay. Let's move on, right?
Yeah, and here we go with artwork of
Martin Facet.
And actually the little logo up there, Raw 9, is by Desktop, but Facet did the whole picture. And
what is it?
Yeah, that's nice, good question. Facet told me that he started to paint elephant, and it didn't really work out, he said. So he flipped it 90 degrees, and then he continued pixelating. So this is kind of like some project that didn't turn out good, but then he created something else about it. And I think that's... it might not always turn out, but this is a good example when you kind of think out of the box and you... the result may surprise you as an artist, and you can kind of grow and something crazy that you would not have done necessarily.
It's a little bit of a seahorse thing, this the back of a seahorse. I don't know if that's the proper name, but the Swedish name is Sjöhäst, so I assume that is the name of the English name. But
it's the crooked back.
Yeah.
Also here, it's kind of here we also have a 32 color palette, and of course it limits this image to warm colors, but you also have this little including of a blue stuff or the purple bluish stuff to kind of give a contrast to the image, and here we also have this kind of almost recursive thing with going on top of the elephant there and also to the left. And I think it creates some kind of weird harmony, and I love it in many ways. And above all, that it's not what you expect it to be, but still the shapes and the final result is excellent and nice to look at.
Can I say it looks like a sperm on the left? No?
Yeah. Kind of like a tentacle.
Yeah, well, your associations are free, of course, but...
yeah, sure, but some glass sperm thing.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it looks really clean, but when you start looking at it, there is a lot of things happening. This grassy thing down on the lower part, it looks like it's wind in the grass.
Sorry. Shit. Sorry, my bad. I was going to do this.
Yeah. More zoom in.
Yeah. And we can see here how he intermixed the
different gradients.
Yeah, exactly. And the bluish comes in here and then moves away as we go further up elephant, and it's obvious that he did not spend much time on a background, but instead he put his effort on the details that's, for example, eyes and shape of this elephant.
Okay. So it's yeah. Now I see. It's an elephant like that.
Yeah.
So it's the beta, where the trunk, I think it's called, right? So the white curvy thing is the trunk, and then the what I call the back of the seahorse is the trunk is the snabel, and what do you call those ivory things? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's the English name.
I don't know if we see the mouse pointer here, but this would be the trunk. So here you would have the eye and the ear, I guess, and then the beta, whatever.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah,
great work, Martin.
Weirdness can turn out great if you know what you're doing and know how to put proportions and display the image of the object.
For me, as a very non-graphical person, I'm always amazed I'm rather curious the actual process for getting the end result. If the artist kind of sees the end result and just mechanically try to reproduce the image in his head or her head, or if it's more an iterative process where things grow and eventually it becomes the end result. But I know from the Sarge, from the pictures he has done, where I've seen the actual process, it seems like he has sort of a vision. But it's very much a moving target, so it never turns out like some kind of the original sketch. There are always multiple aspects added to it.
From my work with books, I encountered and studied many of these artists and how they work, and it's you have all a range. For instance, the Joe, the C64 artist, Swedish guy, he's very precise in his work from the beginning. He draws something, designs it quite in detail, and then he pixels. For myself, I do more like a rough sketch, and then I work from there. I'm hoping to implement the palette in a way that I create the feeling of the setting and but it might as well change during the process, and I realize it don't work out with these kind of two objects. I scrap one and make a small tree instead or something like that. And I think that's one of the fun things with doing pixel art, that the limitations can cause you troubles that change the image in the process, and it actually turns out something else that you hadn't planned. And I mean, if you do oil painting, it's more like a straight line. You can do whatever you want. Just as you're good at it, and you just complete it. In pixel art, it's a bit different process.
But I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. Starting to draw something more very like real life thing, and then just tilt it 90 degrees and start making it more abstract, and your component is still there, and it's hardly distinguishable unless you know what it is. So I wouldn't have seen any elephant if you haven't told me.
Maybe some of the viewers, this could be a nice story as well.
Yeah, super. Should we go to the next?
Yeah,
it was Amiga, right?
Yeah, that was Amiga. And here we have the C64 artwork by Arsmag, a Norwegian wizard. And
Håkon, I think, right?
Håkon Repstad. Yeah, that's him. And I think this is one of the many excellent works in his kind of demo / slideshow products he made. And I think in this this particular image, you can see a lot of elements that his way of making kind of patterns or waves. And especially on the C64, when you have this limited palette, images, if you just convert photo or something similar to this, it gets quite crappy. It's not really, the palette is not made for that. But when you have the skills here to make this kind of patterns or differings and both pattern differing kind of technique, then you can make quite amazing stuff. And Archmag was one of the frontiers. One of the, I mean, a lot of people have excellent techniques nowadays, but Archmag was one of the few ones I looked at years ago, and when he created this kind of amazing patterns or hatchlings or differings that really added something to the image.
I mean, there are so many restrictions. First of all, the number of pixels you have to your disposal.
Yeah.
The second one would be your palette, and you can sort of compensate by putting pixels close to each other, and then sort of the color would sort of visually blend.
Yeah.
But then you have limitations of how many colors you have available in every 8x8 pixel cell, or multicolor. It's actually 4x8, but because every pixel is 2 pixels wide. But there are so many restrictions, and it's actually totally amazing to see what you can do with 16 colors. And if you just take a quick look at that one you were asked how many colors would be used for this, and it's very difficult to kind of assume that it's only 16 because it feels like.
Yeah, and I don't even think he used all 16 here.
Right.
I think maybe he did, but anyways, I think still it's an excellent work, and it's a great example on how you can do this kind of odd or strange patterns that kind of blend into the skin or some other special areas where it would look awful if you just use like 2 or 3 colors and try to create a face. But with this kind of text and artworks,
looking at this. Oh, sorry, that would be me again.
it's not really.
Cut that out. This.
Some blue stuff there.
Yeah, more like the pattern drawing, and you stop drawing a line and then you draw another pixel. That's one way of smoothing it, I think.
Yeah, anti-aliasing kind of. I mean, as myself, Archmag started pixeling on Amiga.
Okay.
And back in the day, it was kind of like unwritten law that you should anti-alias, smoothen the edges. If you have like a circle, you always put the anti-aliasing to make the shape smooth. And it's the same inheritance we can see here, that we still try to do a little anti-aliasing. Let's see here, for example. If you look here in the bottom here, this kind of
the pink red.
He still uses the dark red to make to anti-aliasing this line to make it a bit smoother. This is not something that you always see if you look at the artist who was originally on the C64 and not only been doing that. For example, young artists that are starting now, they rather want the pixels to pop, to show, and they would not use any anti-aliasing because that would kind of ruin the purpose of the idea of pixel art. We will look at examples of that later on, but
Super, Archmate, good
Yeah.
guy. Hope to see you at Spieldata. All right, here we go. Oh, that
Okay.
was probably too big. Like that?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so here's another guy who created a bit of his own style. He's called Cyclone, and
Platform?
Amiga as well.
Yeah.
Again, and we have here's is a story of what do you think the story is?
I'm thinking like the Adam and Eve story with the apple. And,
that was my first idea, but the name image is actually Hansel and Gretel.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they aren't eating an apple. They are eating the gingerbread house.
Yeah. So it's kind of a mix here, but still, what I got hooked when I saw this image was Cyclone's very distinguished technique of pattern technique or hatchlings. Just take a look here down at the.
To be honest, for me, that's a bit like watercolor because it's kind of a blended out color.
Yeah, so. This is Aga, so this is a lot of colors. So.
Okay, you can use more.
Yeah, but here, for example, he on purpose makes this kind of diagonal lines, and then you can still see the shapes of the stone, but the diagonal lines are strong. They kind of dominate the but they still dominate the main shape, but you allow shapes to break from a rule as well. And it makes a very cool blend, and it's a kind of technique that he experimented throughout his career as a pixel artist. You could barely see it in his early works, but as time went along, he tried to kind of do it more, perfect it, or experiment it as well.
Super.
As and here in the background, it's something you see now quite clear when the image is small, but this god face here in the background was something I missed when I saw it the first time. But when you step back, you see the face.
It's absolutely fantastic.
And this kind of foggy shape of the tree here, the leaves.
I think you see the pattern there as well, the squarey thing you discussed.
Yeah. It's
and it also has a frame, and the picture sort of moves up in the frame here, and you have the frame there, and then it's still apparent that it is there, but the picture kind of flows into the frame.
Yeah. And it's it's a nice way for us when we, as a graphician, you start with a full screen picture and you realize, it's a lot of pixels to put. But if you create your own frame inside the picture, you actually limit your workload.
So it's cheating.
Yeah, well, it's a way also to add some depth, because like huge objects which are supposed to be in the foreground, like here the stones which are close or the tree, those things kind of go outside the frame. But stuff that is far away, that stuff is limited inside the frame, and that's a bit of cheap trick, but to create a full depth feeling. But in this picture, Cyclone made an excellent job also to make the stuff in the foreground a bit darker and the background a bit brighter. So that's nice.
Yeah, hat off. Absolutely magnificent. Yeah. I think the girl's face is a bit sort of weird, but apart from that, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so here we have
a classic one.
Yes. And Yeah, I couldn't.
This is for sure C64.
It is C64, and I could not make a selection without Mirage. I think he and Ashmag was the main reason why I start looking at C64 as a real platform to do pixel art. To be honest, C64 was my first machine, and I played a lot of games on it. But it was only when I moved up to getting an Amiga I started pixeling. But when Mirage and Ashmag started doing their work, it was amazing to see, and it was so inspiring to try it myself. And I think other people felt the same way. For example, when I spoke to Facet that he should give C64 a try. Yeah. And you can see what happened.
It was quite successful, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is sort of emphasizing one of the things I love about the C64 is it's so restricted. So the graphician needs to be developing skill sets to sort of virtually enhance the palette and also try to overcome all the restrictions and still make things that look amazing despite the limitations. So if you have unlimited options, this would be this looks very nice, but given the restriction, it looks like there are no restrictions.
Yeah. But Mirage is amazing designer, but what makes him special, or one thing that really makes in his favor, is that he can code as well. So perhaps he created this painting program called Timantis. So he really got into depth about the technicalities and how to make the optimal color choices. And he and another guy in Germany, Vandalis Pepto, they dug into the C64 palette and analyzed the brightness. And that's how myself and Ashmag and many other guys, we look at the brightness, intensity of the colors, and it's that, and also luminosity and saturation of colors that can all come into account when you choose which colors to combine in what way. So when you look at Mirage work, I think that's a kind of ultimate combination of artistic skills, coding skills, and calculation of optimizing the use of the palettes.
I mean, it's like the early musicians, the musical musicians of the C64. They all did their own music routine, so they could code as well. But understanding the deep technicalities of the SID chip by developing their own player routine also helped them in perfecting their music. So I mean, I guess this is a bit of the same.
Yeah. And it was a fun fact that when I did the first book, which was Amiga based, when I came into the part of interviewing artists, it was clear that they had a more artistic approach to their artwork. But when I got in contact with artists for the second book, which is 8-bit computers, C64 in special, it was clear that many more of these artists had coding skills or a very technical knowledge of the platform. So it's and it shows. In the Mirage work, for sure.
I do agree. Super. Should we have? Let's see if we can go to the next one like this.
Yeah. Okay, so here we have this is Atari, and it's
8-bit or 16-bit?
8-bit computer. I think it's called Excel.
130 or whatever they were.
Yeah. But anyways, it's a limited palette, and it's a bit like the C64, at least this color mode. As you can see, the pixels are stretched.
Yeah.
This guy was interesting to see because he
What's his name?
Orduniak, and it's a guy who's into the demo scene, but he also makes his artwork not particularly created for demo scene productions, but more like, can I say, real artwork.
Yeah.
And it's great to see that you don't have to push pixel onto every square area of the screen. You can go easy sometimes, and there's this expression, less is more. It's usually used in the design world.
Yeah.
And I think it applies well here. You can see that he got a quite limited color palette, and it's a lot of gray and it's a lot of empty or flat areas. Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah. And apparently it's quite. I have never pixel on this Atari, so I don't really know the exact limitations. But when I saw the steps he did, he seems like he needed to create the image in black and white, and then some kind of add the colors afterwards. But I'm sure some Atari person can.
Comments down below, you few Atari guys still available, so
Feel free.
super. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Oh,
So here we have.
C64. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
This is Amiga, right?
Yeah.
Aga?
Or no, it's. I'm really sure about this. I think it's like 18 colors or something.
What?
But it's kind of. I choose this one to show how it's an excellent example of how you can create good stuff with quite a limited palette. Jock really tried to use a palette here, for example, in a hair. Use the same colors down on a hand and on eyebrows, and mixing, creating a palette so it can be used cross-used in different gradients. Classically, when Amiga graphics like myself, we do like a couple of gradients, like blue to yellow or red to green, and then the palette is finished. And then then you start painting. But the first picture we saw, the logo type Ra. He was one of the first guys who did not do this kind of gradient range. He started pixeling, and then he set one more color, put that in, and he choose another. So his palettes are totally random because he just adds colors as he feels like. And in this example by Jock, I think it's cool to see that you can also apply this in all kind of situations where you can set your range not as a straight line, but mixing colors and stuff that's kind of off. We can see here her sheet. It comes to quite a bright red, and then it moves to green, and then it moves to purple and green again and yellow. Right. So, and this is not a bad thing, because when we look at the skin tone at a normal human being, it's never from bright pink to dark brown.
No,
It's
no.
kind of we have some stuff of bluish and greenish maybe, or our skin tones vary.
Yeah, and also you have the reflection of the light that comes in.
Ambient light, of course. So,
I mean, but my concern is always when something looks really photorealistic, there is always the concern that is there cheating involved here?
yeah,
Or?
of course, this is based on a photo.
Yeah,
But I mean, the difference of
but that wouldn't be cheating for me if you sort of replicate it if you do it properly. But unless you scan it and just brush it up.
Yeah, that's a different story.
This is not that.
That's a different story. But base your work on a photo or a sketch you do yourself. I think that is a good working.
Oh.
But when you look at the image, you can see that the whole dithering and the whole gradient is pixel by hand, and it's what gives the feeling of both depth in the skin, but also the look of pixel art, which.
That look is sort of mesmerizing. Let's move to the next one. She will hypnotize me if we watch this any further. So. Super. And we are... Oh, that was a bit too much. Like this, possibly? Yeah?
Yeah. And so here we have a guy called Andy Little. And...
platform?
No platform. This is a guy outside the demo scene.
Okay.
And he is, as I said before, my last book, I explored the pixel art scene outside the demo scene, and he's an example of just that. People who have grown up on video games and maybe seen pixel art or graphics with low resolution, and in order to recreate that aesthetics or that look and feel, he limits both his palette and also his pixel size to something by choice. And maybe I'm not sure how many colors this is, but anyways, it's nice to see that there's alive and very much flourishing and growing scene with new pixel artists who are not necessarily bound by the platform, but they still choose that.
Yeah, the aesthetic is derived from artificial restrictions, but on the technical platforms we apply them because we have to, because they are implemented in hardware. But here you apply it because you want to have some sort of specific expression, or
exactly.
But how would this convert to an Amiga image? Would this work on the Amiga, or would is there things that wouldn't be possible if you convert this to an Amiga Amiga?
No, this is perfect on Amiga. And I think it could maybe even be possible to do this on a 500 because I think he chooses the palette around 30 colors, so that's quite suitable for the 500. The only thing that the Amiga 500 is, it's not true color. You have the steps are from 1 to 15 or 0 to F hexadecimal. Yeah. But in AGA you have 0 to 255.
Okay.
If you try to chunk this into the 500, you might have to fine-tune some of the colors to fit. But
okay, still really beautiful. Let's see if we can. And something like this.
So here's another guy from Indonesia, no less. Now I wanted to show this, as example on, I maybe it's a stretch to say the new generation, but the matter of fact, I see more and more of this really emphasized pixels, where anti-alias is totally out of the question. It's rather the opposite. You want the pixels to pop out and be really visible.
Is this also like big system with no restrictions, but artificially imposed?
This guy, you might not believe it, but he does his work in MS Paint.
I can see
that means
that's applying real restrictions. Using MS Paint is harder than painting on the C64, I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, the tools there are not really painter friendly, but he's actually an architect by profession. So he made a little project to draw and design different capitals in town, and this should be Brussels.
The Grand Square.
You been there?
Yeah, I think I've had beer in that restaurant over there. So
nice.
Beware of Belgian beer. It's very strong. So if you drink like you normally do, you get wasted in Brussels. I can tell you that happened to me. Sorry about that.
I thought it was they only drink but old monk beer.
Yeah. But it's super strong. It's silly strong. So it's nice.
But nice. So I mean, this can be really ugly, but for the first thing, he
gets away with it.
Yeah, he limited his palette to move around, if you take purple, and then he moving it in a couple of directions, but he didn't go far off. There's, for example, no red or green or blues. It's very coherent image, and these sharp pixels, it's really pops out, and I mean, for as pixel art as a medium, it needs to kind of evolve and change, and I'm not saying that what we did on the C64 Amiga is outdated, but it can be challenged by new and fresh views on how to design. So I think it's interesting to see how different people do it, and especially those outside the demo scene who's not doing it to win a compo or to fill graphics into a demo. They do it rather to design something they think is cool.
They choose their set of tools and then they express their art, and it happens to be in that context. And
pixel art is my content. And
how do you find this guy? I mean, where do you find that guy?
I've been spending a lot of times on forums, on Instagram, and Twitter, and also there are a couple of other of those apps, or what you call it, where pixel art is put their stuff. So you have to spend some time and do digging, detective work. But
it's so that, because the question, I'm sorry if this does detours every now and then, but that's the way my mind works. But for me, it's a bit like the Two Flower presentation on Fjelldata last year, where he was talking about sort of isolated clusters, so small scenes, but not connected to the main theme.
I remember that.
And this one is a bit like that, because they're sort of isolated. They're not really connected to our sort of main scene, but I mean, from that, I guess you could be. So it's just a connection that's sort of missing. It's a little drop of water that's outside of the bigger ocean. It's and I'm really amazed that you find it. So thank you for bringing it.
Well, some of these guys. The one guy, he said he grew up playing games on the C64,
Yeah.
but he totally missed out the C64 demo scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, like 10, 20 years later, he
Yeah.
started pixeling stuff on his computer to kind of resemble that feeling he had back then.
Yeah.
And with my books and our project, I kind of put him in contact and look here what
Yeah.
and
I'd like bring all the water to the same place. So I like to connect things. I'm sort of the the sheep herder dog here. I like to kind of bring all the sheep into one big pot.
Okay.
Super, very very nice thing. Okay,
So here we have
like that, or no? That was a bit too much, right?
yeah,
3-ish.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Voodoo dolls and a very angry tree.
Yeah.
Is that an ent from the living trees from Lord of the Rings?
You know, this guy is called Fool, and he's
Could have fooled me.
yeah. And he's kind of a legend on that place Pixel Joint.
Yeah.
I think the story of
Voodoo, right?
yeah, I think a lot of his designs were a game he got involved with that never happened.
Mm.
So he created a lot of assets for a game that it didn't get completed, and so he did a lot of graphics in total, but some of it were from this game. I think this was one example, and it's a guy with excellent technique and with a hint of humor as well in a lot of his stuff. And one thing here we can see, especially with the little bar.
Yeah.
How he got excellent technique here with making things hard contrast and low contrast, and I don't know where to start, but his work is technically very interesting and nice to see from as a pixel artist. And I mean, you can see the leaves here, and it's amazing how he can put so much stuff into so few pixels. You see this kind of leg or hand here with even some leaves here growing on the ankles. It's amazing. I keep using that word.
But, you have selected the amazing pieces, if it's okay to use it sometimes, this is the time. But connecting back to what you said before, it's also not. He's seemingly also not totally passionate about putting pixels in every area. He's absolutely fine having like big areas untouched.
Yeah. He's a typical artist that probably did a lot of work using pencil, and then as he wrote in the book that he was in an accident, and then he part of a lot of his time in hospital to getting well, he started pixeling work, and it was a good kind of way to spend his time there. And you can almost see how he draws something quite rough, and then he goes into detail with the what you call it, the objects in focus of the objects that are of importance. That's maybe a good way to describe it. That you spend a lot of time on the things that are high up in the importance ladder.
Yeah.
And then it spells.
And then totally skipping the background because that's not irrelevant at all. So
No. But yeah, I can really recommend looking deep into his stuff because there's a lot to learn there.
So nationality, where is he from?
Yeah, this guy is actually born in Russia, but he lived his entire life in the US.
Oh, okay.
So in my books, I from the start, I presented them with nationality because especially in the demo scene, it was interesting to see how different styles fluctuated in different countries. When you look at the French artists, it's clear to see how they inspired each other. And then you move to some other part of the world, like Sweden or Finland. Then you can see they have another style set.
Styles are contagious, so if you pick up from what you see, so anybody inspires somebody else.
Yeah, that's true.
Super great. Where are we?
Okay. Yeah, so here we have a guy called Ilke.
Yeah.
And he...
that sounds Finnish.
He's from Serbia. Croatia.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I should not say for sure. I think it's a Croatia. Anyways, he been working in Sweden for a while as well. Now maybe in Austria.
Okay.
But anyways, he has been doing work on both the Amiga and independent game designing work, and this is one of his nicer works as well.
I think this is also one of those where I think a bit of watercoloring because it's the colors aren't really popping out; they're more blended or low key. And what you said before, I'm not saying I learned stuff, but I'd say this version here felt a bit like the one with the apple. The square part you were referencing, is that it?
Yeah. And he done here in the middle of her mushroom as well. Yeah, that's true. But here, the palette we can see it's also limited. And personally, I find those images quite refreshing, interesting when the artist is not trying to use the entire rainbow in the picture, but rather focus on one style, one color section, and then work with contrasts. For example, here he uses a lot of cold colors like blue and green, and then the contrast is the mushroom, which is red. So it's both the mushroom, but also it contrasts both in color-wise and temperature and contrast.
But this one is the polar opposite of the Brussels picture because this is all low saturated, whereas that one was very strong, every pixel to the max. And here, no, let's not make every pixel really stand out. Let's make a team effort and make something which is more a team effort. Not more pixels need to shine to make a good example. Or
exactly. Yeah, and it's nice examples that you don't have to go deep on everything. Everything tends to be like in your face, especially when it comes to logo design. They were like I had a discussion with Made, a French guy, and logos are made for impact, like to shock you or impress you or really bring out that message. But
it could be more low-key.
Yeah, and in a good way.
Absolutely great. Thank you.
What do you think? Is it okay?
Yeah. It's a bit of loud. Sorry. You had a music competition in the background, and we did not participate. We didn't have any entries, so I'm hoping that went well. But now we have a number of people going out here. We are in the cantina in the very edge, so sorry about any noise in the background. But we are watching graphics, so don't mind them and listen to Claus instead.
Okay, so here's another image made. No, there's no platform here.
Okay.
Google those. And when it comes to pixel art, there are quite a few artists that have a clear reference to game.
Mhm.
When you and I, we speak about pixel art, we maybe start thinking about demo scene naturally.
Yeah.
When you go out to the kids on the street and talk about pixel art, then they start thinking about games. And it can be quite obvious when you look at pictures displayed on those different platforms like Instagram, for example. There's a lot of references to Nintendo games, to all these Zelda, Sega.
Yeah, Nintendo is massively big and bigger audience. Our computers have always been sort of secondary to the console scene.
That's true. But here's kind of nice, cool setting of a platformer in a kind of miniature. You can still feel the sprite of the tile. When you do this kind of platform games, the tile technique is quite visible. That the background or graphical elements are repeated over and over.
And also kind of really strict limits, because if you're using tile graphics, the C64 characters will be one of those. And it's also in Nintendo very much so that you have the
Amiga as well. The tiles are given a specific size, like 16 or something like that. And that's something that he tried to mimic in this design. Of course, this is not the actual game or anything. It's more like a fun way to try to mimic that idea about the.
What was the name of the guy?
I don't really know if I can pronounce it, but Serbian guy.
Oh, okay.
It's
Oh, it's really loud in the background now. Yeah. Can we go on? Anything more on this? Yeah. It's a bit us as well, I hope. So hopefully you would hear us a bit.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But is this Atari as well, or no?
No. We moved in beginning. I chose some Steam stuff, and now we
are more outside of the scene. So
this is
very limited panel.
Yeah, Russian guy again, and Orange Magic is handles. Here we go. I think when it's more like looking at the concept artist or something like that. It's a combination of what we talked about before to really make the pixels pop, but still it's like a paradox. Almost that.
Yeah, because you have dithering now.
To kind of make a smooth gradient, but at the same time he's putting the pixels to absolute maximum here. It's like showing up the dithering.
Here, this line dithering technique, that's Joe is doing a lot of that, right?
Yeah. And I can see also that the German guy started doing it, and Buffett also
Target doing a bit of that as well, I think. So.
But I think this guy was doing it 10 years ago. And it's amazing when you do this kind of different patterns. And it's almost like the dithering gets more priority than the image itself. It's like, of course, it's clouds here, but it's the dithering that's the stuff here.
I mean, the cool thing is, you have all the patterns. You can have like an infinite number of pixels. You can have basically an infinite number of colors.
Yeah.
And then you implement restrictions. And then you find technique to overcome the restrictions that you implemented in the first place.
Yeah. So, for example, here on the background, it's only 2 colors. So, it's refreshing and see that these guys are doing this work without having to use this kind of limitations. That they do it just to achieve
discussion around Russians being present here, but as long as they're not sort of promoting Russia in any way, we were fine picking artists for their artistic values and nothing else. So it's been a discussion, and if I found that wrong, then please blame me and not Klaus, because he was a bit unsure. So I take the full blame of that, because I think this is worth showing, even if it's the Russian guys. Yeah. Great.
Okay, so here we have the Canadian guy. I wanted to include this in the selection as well, because this is one guy who knows how to handle volume and depth. It's a great example of leaf work and trees here. You can see how easily he creates the image of depth in the forest. And this is how it should be done. And it's not even with a very technical skill or with a technical finesse, as you compare to the guy who looked at that with that wooden entry. But this guy more works in the terms of creating volume, creating depth.
I can easily see this being a background on the video game, and then we have a little character sprite, bumping down the stairs there.
Yeah, like a point-and-click adventure.
Yeah. Like Monkey Island or something. This being a place where you should go and dig under that thing in the middle.
I wish we graphics were this good in Monkey Island. But there's much like
you never know. There will be a Monkey Island in the C64. I think Jack Astor has quite Jack Astor has been sort of the public. Eventually, there will probably, knowing the persistence of Jack Astor, I'm sure there will be. Hey, fantastic picture. Oh, another one.
Yeah, this is quite vertical touch. But one big picture. Also, we can zoom in a little here just to see the pixel size.
Sort of a floating islands in the sky, but then there is also this floating piece there on the left. It's a character.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to find the good zoom level here. Okay, I guess that's full picture almost. Okay.
Everybody's basic, so.
Anyways, this is English guy called Sovan Jedi, and he have done pictures of this god, or kind of like Earth and worldwide entity that he kind of created called Bulmani, something like that. Yeah. And it's anyway, he made a couple of different designs of this character, and this one was really caught my eye, and it got me very impressed. And it's also animated, believe it or not. This with a still image, but there's a version which is animated where the water fill is falling, and I choose this one because it has fresh perspective, and it's based on quite limited palette, 20 colors or so. But still, it's interesting to see what you can achieve when you're thinking outside the box and not trying to exactly what you expected to do.
Everything needs to be a copy of Boon's Ballet with girls with metal bras and fine warmers. That was a trend during a number of years when everybody was cloning Boon's Ballet images. I'm thinking about Jätten Jol. You know what that is? The Swedish cartoon had Living Mountain, and he liked to swim, and his name is Jätten Jol. It's nothing like that, but it's still a sort of a concept. This concept of Living Mountain. Yes, that. Yeah. Yeah, that's my head. Nice to check out. I like the thing down there on the left. I need to zoom in on that. The town. Because that was very copied. That was brighter colors than the rest. If we zoom out again, and they are sort of.
Yeah, of course. It's all about creating a depth. The closer the stuff is, the more contrast you use, and the further away you start, the more separated they should be. So of course, the body of this god gets almost blend into the clouds background.
Cloud up and to the right is also absolutely magnificent. Thingy here. Yeah, sorry, you don't see that, but I don't know. I still don't know if you see the mouse pointer, but up here on the top right, that's really cloudy and fluffy.
Yeah, but I think that was the last image.
I was,
and but maybe one couple of these images was first for some of you guys to see, and hopefully it could inspire people to start pixeling or maybe try some new platform or methods or techniques.
I mean, there are so many takeaways here that I like the fact that pixel art is still something people could do, even if they don't come from the same background as you and I. I mean, coming from loving games and having a computer and wanting to apply that aesthetics to what they're doing and restricting themselves into to kind of prove the aesthetics. So I really love that. So thank you so much for a fantastic selection, and I'm really glad we finally managed to do this.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. FairLight.